Folks, in case you missed it, we just got the very exciting announcement that Dragon Ball FighterZ is getting a rollback update, and it's getting ported to PS5 and Xbox Series X. So along with that, a lot of people have been wondering, do we think that this means that we're going to be getting a new Dragon Ball FighterZ game at some point down the line? So I thought I would talk a little bit about that and whether I think it's going to happen. And while I'm at it, how about I just rank a whole bunch of other fighting games that haven't gotten a new release in a while and talk about how likely I think it is that there's going to be a new one, a new sequel coming. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be doing some deep dive analysis, and I'm going to tell you the odds, ranking from 100% definitely we're getting a sequel to it's never going to happen, so just give up on it, okay? So what do you say we jump in? By the way, guys, if there's a fighting game that you think is deserving of a sequel that I don't end up putting on this list, feel free to put it down in the comments, and I will reply with where I think it would belong on this list. And also, if you like this type of video, it really helps me out if you can hit the like button and subscribe as well. It seriously helps the channel and get the video shown to more people. So if you can do that, I would really appreciate it. But with that, let's start out, and we're going to start out with the game in the title here, Dragon Ball FighterZ. I'm going to go ahead and say seems likely that we're going to get another Dragon Ball FighterZ game. So why do I think that it's so likely that we are going to get a Dragon Ball FighterZ 2? Well, for one thing, the game is kind of like a money printer. You know, Dragon Ball is a really high-performing brand that people really like, and the game sold insanely well. It sold 8 million copies. That's the latest stat that we have, which is a ton for a fighting game. For reference, Guilty Gear Strive just sold 1 million. And that's considered a really big success for the franchise. So 8 million is pretty huge. So it would kind of be insane for them not to make another one. They're just throwing away free money. And I feel like the fact that we are getting the rollback update and that the game is getting updated to the new consoles shows that they are interested in continuing to support the game. And if you think about it, it costs a lot of money for them to go back and update the game and add in rollback. It is not going to be a cheap thing for them to do. So for them to invest all that in something that they're not even charging money for, if you have the game on PC, you know, it's like they need some way to recoup that cost, and I think part of recouping that is going to be taking what they learn from putting rollback in the game and then applying that to the next Dragon Ball FighterZ, which theoretically we're going to get. So I don't necessarily think it's going to happen like soon, but maybe like late 2013 or in 2014, it could happen. So I feel like it's not 100% a sure thing, but I'm feeling pretty confident that we are going to get another Dragon Ball FighterZ. So that answers the question in the title of the video. So, you know, if you want to turn the video off now, you can go ahead and do that. But I got so many more games to rank here, so let's continue with the list. All right, next up, I'm going to knock out some really easy ones that I think are 100% definitely coming. So it's going to be Mortal Kombat, Injustice, and Dead or Alive. I think all three of these, it's pretty much assured that we're going to get new games in these franchises at some point in the next few years. So for MK and Injustice, I mean, these NetherRealm Studios games, they are really also just money printer games. These games sell so many copies. They sell like 10 million copies every time they release a new one of these. So I feel like for sure they would be fools not to make a new one. I mean, even people who aren't like traditional fighting game gamers always like these. They always have these interesting story modes that people like going through the story. They like all the collectibles. So I feel like without a doubt, we are going to get a new MK, and we're probably going to get a new Injustice as well. They'd be fools not to. As for Dead or Alive, I know there was a rumor for a while that Dead or Alive 7 was in development and got canceled. There was an alleged leak by someone who has a relation to Koei Tecmo on Twitter. But from what I can find, there's no real proof that that's real. Some people are saying it's a hoax. There have been like Event Hubs articles and stuff saying that they looked into it and couldn't find any proof. So for me, it seems likely that there's going to be a Dead or Alive 7. Even though I don't know anyone personally who plays Dead or Alive 6, the game did sell pretty well. It sold something like 3 or 4 million copies, and I also know that these games sell insane amounts of DLC. People love playing Barbie dress up with the waifus in these games. So again, it's kind of like a money printer situation, and every time like a new platform comes out, there's almost always a Dead or Alive game on it to, you know, show off the new graphics and see what they can do, bringing these beloved characters back on a new system. So PS5 and Xbox Series X, I feel like we're definitely going to get a Dead or Alive game at some point. That's just my prediction. Alright, so I hit you guys with the good news, but now let's talk a little bit about the bad news. So, Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, similar to Dragon Ball, this game just got a rollback update, so they improved the online on PC and PS4. So does that mean that we're going to get Persona 5 Arena? I'm going to go ahead and say don't hold your breath. So there's a few things that are kind of working against this game, I feel, and making it difficult for them to release a Persona 5 Arena. One of the biggest ones to me is the fact that Persona 4 Arena is a sprite game. But now it kind of seems like Arc System Works is moving away from that direction. They're moving more into like the Guilty Gear Strive / Dragon Ball FighterZ thing, where it's 3D graphics with sort of a 2D look and feel. And the problem is, what are they going to do with all these Persona 4 and 3 characters? It seems kind of tough, right? Like, are they going to release Persona 5 Arena that's only Persona 5 characters? There aren't even that many characters to choose from to make a full roster. Or are they going to like remake these guys in 3D? I don't think they would do that either. That would be a lot of work for characters that have already been made before. Or are they going to make a sprite game? I mean, they did make BB Tag not that long ago, just a few years ago, and that's a sprite game. But the thing with that game is almost all of the characters were reused sprites. I just don't really think that Arc System Works has the people right now to make a full brand new sprite game like Persona 5 Arena that, you know, maybe they could reuse like half or 2/3 of the characters, but they would probably be making like 8 or so new Persona 5 characters, and I don't think they're going to do that. So I think if they were going to make Persona 5 Arena, it would be all 3D, and to do that would be a pretty massive undertaking to create this whole roster from scratch and not be able to reuse things from Persona 4 Arena. So to me, that's the biggest thing holding it back, and just the fact that Persona 5 is like an old game at this point. It's been out for so long. I feel like if it were going to happen, we would have heard about it by now. So, you know, Persona 4 Arena, one of my all-time favorite games. It does make me sad. I wish we could get a Persona 5 Arena, but I just don't see it happening right now. While we're talking about bad news, I got a bad one for all the hopium addicts out there. Marvel vs. Capcom. Are we going to get a new Marvel vs. Capcom? I'm going to say never going to happen. So there actually is like a big Marvel Disney gaming announcement event that's coming up. So I've seen some people getting hype on Twitter like, hey, maybe it's finally time for Marvel vs. Capcom to return, but I just don't think it's happening. The thing is, like, Marvel Infinite really kind of soured the well on this franchise. It did not do particularly well. It was generally, like, hated by the community. They had some plans for a bunch of DLC for the game, and then they kind of scrapped it. It never ended up happening past, like, the first DLC pack. So Marvel Infinite was kind of a disaster, and it just kind of seems like licensing and stuff for the Marvel vs. Capcom series has been in a bad place. Obviously, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 got removed from the App Store, along with, you know, the Marvel vs. Capcom 1 re-release also got removed from the App Store. So it's like, it seems like something is going on between Capcom and Marvel where they're just not really working together like that anymore. So unfortunately, of course, I really want a new Marvel vs. Capcom, but I just don't think it's gonna happen. So we're gonna be stuck here playing Marvel 3 with the modded characters for a little while, unfortunately. But let me talk about Marvel 2. You know, if we're talking about just a re-release of Marvel 2, which I know a lot of people really want, you can't buy the game anymore other than finding like a physical used disc, which are like $100. So Marvel vs. Capcom 2, we all want a re-release, and is this gonna happen? I'm gonna go ahead and say maybe. I think it's not out of the question. We did just get the announcement that there's going to be the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 collectible arcade cabinet. I know there was some discussion I heard from Maximilian. People are talking about that actually might have like a loophole in the licensing because it counts as a toy and not a video game. I don't know about that kind of stuff, but I feel like the demand is so strong, and the fact that it would just be a re-release and not a whole new game, I think this seems not completely out of the question. So I'm going to say maybe on a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 re-release. I hope. Please, Prage. Alright, and another big one that people are talking a lot about lately is BlazBlue. So, BlazBlue, I'm going to say maybe as well for BlazBlue. So this game kind of has a similar problem to Persona 4 Arena, where obviously BlazBlue has only been a sprite game so far, and I just don't really think that they're going to be able to make a whole new sprite game. Like, they don't have the people or the ability to create a whole new roster of characters in sprites. Arc System Works is moving to 3D pretty much exclusively now. So yeah, I feel like that's a big obstacle in the way, but I do think at some point we probably are going to get, you know, BlazBlue Xrd. I think we probably are going to get the BlazBlue that moves the franchise into the realm of 3D graphics. It just seems too likely. You know, now that Guilty Gear Strive has been out for a while and been really successful, I think BlazBlue is probably going to be the next one. I think we're probably going to see a new BlazBlue before we see, you know, Guilty Gear Strive 2 or whatever. So I'm not saying it's like 100% going to happen, but I would say 50-50, maybe 60% chance of a new BlazBlue. And the thing to keep in mind is BlazBlue is actually extremely popular in Japan, so I could see that being like a big reason as well. Something I remember back in the day was they would release like the arcade stats of how well games performed in arcade, and BlazBlue actually outperformed Street Fighter 4 in arcades in Japan. That's how popular it was. Street Fighter 4 was, you know, such a huge deal everywhere, but in Japan they were all about the BlazBlue. So I think 3D graphics BlazBlue, it's probably coming, you know, in the next 5 years, maybe we'll hear something about a 3D graphics BlazBlue. Okay, so those were all the ones that I really had like a ton to say about, so I'm just gonna knock out these next ones and try to get through them pretty quickly. Tatsunoko versus Capcom, never gonna happen. I'm sorry. I love TVC, but no one in America knows what Tatsunoko is. Also, this game had huge problems with licensing, similar to Marvel vs. Capcom. I don't even think we're gonna get a re-release of this. I think it's just, unfortunately, it's dead and buried. But thankfully, we can play this on Dolphin Emulator, and it runs really well. So that's the one thing we have going for us. Under Night In-Birth, I think at some point we're gonna get a new Under Night In-Birth. It seems like Melty Blood type Lumina performed pretty well for them. So I think at some point we probably are going to get a new Under Night. What I would really like, I don't know, am I the only one that thinks it would be cool if we had Melty versus Under Night, like a crossover game? I think that would be really neat. So something like that would be really cool, but obviously the Under Night characters are really cool, really beloved. So it would be cool to see them come back for sure. Capcom versus SNK 2, I'm going to go ahead and say don't hold your breath. I don't think it's completely out of the question, and definitely like Capcom and SNK have a better relationship than like Capcom and Marvel do right now, at least that's what it seems like. And another interesting little thing, for EVO they actually released this commemorative art that was officially licensed, and this was drawn by Shinkiro, and it's got the Capcom characters versus the SNK characters, so maybe there's something there. Maybe there's something there. I don't know, but probably not anytime soon. But obviously, I would love a new Capcom versus SNK game. CVS 2, one of my all-time favorites. But to me, I would just say don't hold your breath, just for right now. Vampire Savior or Darkstalkers, you know, they showed that thing a while ago. Darkstalkers is not dead, and then we literally like heard nothing about it. I would probably say don't hold your breath for a new Darkstalkers as well. I don't think it's completely out of the question, but like, I don't know, 3D graphics Darkstalkers, do we even want that? Do we, like, Vampire Savior is the perfect game. They don't need to do it. The only problem with that game is the way push blocking works is really annoying. But other than that, it's like the perfect game. The graphics still hold up. I don't think we need a new Darkstalkers, and I don't necessarily think it's going to happen. But I don't know. Maybe if Street Fighter 6 sells like 10 million copies, they'll go crazy on fighting games again and flood the market, and then we'll get a new Darkstalkers. But for now, it's not seeming too likely. BlazBlue cross tag battle, I'm going to say never going to happen. I don't think we're ever going to get a BB tag game. As far as I know, this game did not perform particularly well in terms of sales. And again, it has that big problem of the sprite thing. It's all sprites. I just don't think they have that many sprite artists still working for them. And it's got the problem of licensing as well. It's hard to license these different properties. So I think BB tag is probably over. And then finally, Killer Instinct. I'm going to go ahead and say maybe on Killer Instinct. I hope we get a new Killer Instinct. I really, really do hope that we do. But as far as I know, there hasn't been any kind of news or announcements about it or anything like that. I think that the Killer Instinct game, you know, the new one, the remake Killer Instinct for PC and Xbox One is actually a really incredible game. That game is super, super fun. It still holds up. It still has a lot of people playing even. You can hop online and get good matches with good rollback. It shipped with really, really good rollback, even back in the day, 2013 or whatever. So yeah, the game holds up, and I really, really hope that we get a new one. But with that, I think we're going to end the list there, guys. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with my analysis? Do you think anything should be moved around? And once again, let me know in the comments if there's a game I didn't put up here that you think, you know, is deserving of a sequel. I would love to hear what you have to say. I don't know, Bloody Roar or something? Rival Schools, Project Justice? Let me know. And with that, we're going to end the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.